Welcome back to a Race Instinct video. In this one I'm going to be working on the Miata, but before that I have to clean my garage because it is dirty, so I'm going to do that. I'm not going to be able to get to trying to fix the Miata tonight, but I'll just do that tomorrow. After 6 hours of cleaning, this place looks a little bit different. So now it's time to tell you exactly what I have planned for today's video. In the previous Miata episode, I depowered my steering rack, and it was successful, and I'm happy with the results, but my alignment is really bad. I mean, it's not like really bad, but like above 65 miles an hour, there's a lot of shaking, and I'd rather not like burn through my tires. I was thinking about going to the shop and getting an alignment, but then I thought, why don't I just replace the inner and outer tie rods, control arms, and the ball joints all at once, just so I don't have to get another alignment for a really long time. So that's what we're doing. So essentially, all I have to do is just take off the old one and then put the new one on. Wow. They're very pretty. As pretty as car parts can get. One other thing that I forgot to tell you. I don't know exactly what happened, but I'm speculating that I didn't properly torque down the lock nut on the steering rack. What happened was when I was turning right, it like slipped, and now it's like the steering wheel's 10 degrees to turn to the right and the wheels are straight. So something slipped and then locked into place, because now it's locked into place. So I gotta figure that out. Those wheels on the wall look so freaking cool. Like, look at that. That's the type of art piece that I want to be in my house. Also, I'm selling these 17s because they do not look very good on the Miata. 550, hit me up. Maybe 500, depends on if you're in my area. But right now, I need to get some sleep because it is probably 1 a.m. I don't know yet, actually. Let's check. Okay, so it's 2:05. That's cool. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. here's a little update. I've been working for, I have a watch on. I think it's around like 9:30. It is 10:09. I've been working since 10 hours. I started with the driver's side and I came across a bunch of seized bolts. I was able to get some of them off. Some of them I had to cut with a cutoff wheel. And I got to the point where I just didn't want to mess with that side anymore. And I just wanted to like come back to it. So I started the passenger side and all the bolts were fine. Like they were not seized at all. But the big bolt that goes through the upper control arm is like really, really on there and I can't get it off. So I'll have to wait on that. Maybe I can get some help or something like that. But I got the lower control arm on this side. It looks pretty good. I made a mess out of the lower control arm on the driver's side because the coilover bolt at the bottom was like rusted through. It was like all seized. So when I tried to spin the bolt, it would flex the little rubber bushing that's in it. I don't want to tear the bushing, but I don't really care about these coilovers that much because I'll either do stock springs or better coilovers. Like these are eBay coilovers for like probably 300 bucks, maybe even less. I'm gonna clean up, I'm gonna get some rest, and I'm gonna get back at it. I feel like that's too low. So it's been a couple days and I'm back in my garage. Last week on Sunday, I went to the Nutmeg Miata Club owner's house and I picked up 4 stock struts to replace my eBay coilovers. We had some problems getting the lower ball joint out of the hub assembly because what I did was I cut the castle nut off, but I also cut the stud, so there's nothing to push on to get the lower ball joint out. But we ended up renting this tool to push it out, and we got that out eventually. Just for future reference, the Miata Club owner's name is Joe. So when I was at Joe's house, I picked up a new idle air control valve because I think this is what the culprit is for making my engine not being able to start up properly when it's cold out. But for now, both sides of the suspension are ready to be assembled. So for the rest of the night, that's probably what I'm gonna be doing. So it looks like it did come. So I bought new sway bar end links because my lower control arms are actually for an NB Miata. And that's fine, but because the NA end links don't line up with the lower control arm, where these ones will. So I'm gonna replace those. So I was able to get the upper control arm all mounted up, and it's sitting there pretty good. I haven't yet put the wheel hub assembly on because I'm waiting to put the shock in. And before I do that, I wanted to get this end link off. But right now I'm gonna go run to Joe's house and I'm gonna pick up a new one of these because snap ring didn't just pop out, it actually broke the housing. So as you can see, this is the lip that the snap ring is supposed to be under. And right here, it's completely broken here. There's a piece still right here, but it's broken all the way around. And Joe has an unassembled 97 steering rack housing that I'm gonna probably put all of this back into, including the inner tie rods that I said I probably wasn't going to replace. Well, now that I'm getting the boots off, why not? And on this side, I put the wheel hub assembly all together. The shock is in there, and the only thing I have to do now is hook up the end link to the sway bar. But to actually attach it to the NB lower control arms, I had to get NB end links. And they fit all right with the NA sway bar, but Joe has an NB sway bar, and if it's not too much of a hassle, I'll probably replace the NA sway bar just so these mount at the right angle. So I'll see you when I get the parts. So I just got back from Joe's and I picked up a lot of stuff actually. So I got this AC button. I have no idea if it's focusing, but hopefully it does, because I'm missing it from my HVAC controls. We found a rack and pinion. It was not the 97 that he was talking about, but he found another one in his garage. So I have that. I have no idea what year or what car it came out of, but I'm gonna clean it up. Hopefully it doesn't have the same problem as mine. And I also picked up an NB sway bar. And it has end links on it, but I think I'm gonna use the ones that I bought because those are new and they look better. But what also happened was when I was driving home, there was an Audi behind me and it was pretty loud. So I took my camera out to see if I can get some cool shots of it. And I got a few, but the guy saw that I had a camera, and when we exited, he pulled off to the side and I had a conversation with him.
Holy shit, that's so loud. Of course, I'm on fucking snow everything right now.
Yeah.
This thing's got 300,000 miles on the engine, you know what I mean?
Really?
And it was Travis from BuildAllTheEngines. Before today, I didn't really know that his company existed or who he even was, but he's a really cool guy. We had a nice conversation. But enough talk. I think it's time to install this little button and get the rack all set and in the car.
So it's been around a day and a half and a lot has happened. So the first rack that I got from Joe was actually an NB rack. I'd have to get NB subframe and I have no access to one of those. So what we did was I went back to Joe's house and he has a 94 parts car and we just ripped the steering rack out of that. I cleaned it up and I depowered it by removing that one seal, reassembled it. Looks pretty good. All I have to do now is just center the rack, put it in the car, and then we should be good to go.
Well, I got the rack all together and on the car. We filled the grease fittings up with grease and adjusted the alignment as good as possible. We used like a tape measure and put it between like 2 points on each rotor and just made them as close as possible to each other. And tomorrow I have an appointment at Midas for an alignment because I got a $20 off coupon, so I'm gonna use that. And then after that, hopefully it's just modifications from here on out. This video has literally been like 3 weeks of just me working. That's pretty much why I haven't uploaded. It's that and then school. But yeah, let's go. God, I love the Maglites. There's something about the Maglites on the Miata that just, they're just so good. I also like tri-spoke wheels. I might do a video on like my top 10 favorite wheels of all time. Some of them might be wheels that are unobtainable. Let's see if I can put this on with one hand.
Before, this was at 1.95 facing in, and this was at 1.80 facing in. So all we did was just center out the degrees.
Oh, cool.